I was sitting at my desk yesterday, just staring at a blinking cursor. I was trying to write a really simple outreach email.
Oh yeah, the classic blinking cursor.
Right. And it wasn't writer's block. It was something else entirely. It was this distinct sinking feeling in my stomach.
Hmm.
Just this pervasive, low-level hum of anxiety that I think a whole lot of us are feeling right now.
It's that why bother feeling, isn't it?
Exactly. The why bother? Like, why am I agonizing over this one subject line when I know for an absolute fact that there is a machine available for $20 a month that can generate 50 variations of this exact email in 3 seconds?
Right.
It just feels like the skill of writing, which I have literally spent my whole life cultivating, is suddenly going the way of the telegraph operator.
I hear that so often. I mean, it is the elephant in the room for every freelancer, every marketer, or really any knowledge worker right now.
Yeah, really is.
Because if the machine generates text instantly, is the human ability to string sentences together just obsolete? And if you look at it superficially, the answer seems to be yes. But that is exactly why we are doing this deep dive today.
Because we're looking at a stack of research today that flips that entire narrative completely on its head.
Completely. Yeah.
The core argument here isn't that writing is dying. It's actually that writing is evolving into a high-leverage revenue strategy.
Which is a huge mental shift.
It is. The source material we're unpacking today, which specifically looks at this transition from being a creative writer to becoming an AI product thinker, along with the educational frameworks provided by SkillUp Online, suggests something pretty radical.
It suggests that language skills are actually the control panel for the entire AI revolution.
So the mission for today's deep dive is to get you, the listener, out of that obsolete mindset. We want to show you why, if you are good with words, you are actually in the driver's seat right now. We're going to talk about how to stop just writing words and start designing systems.
And I think if we do this right, you'll see that the future doesn't belong to the person who can write the prettiest sentence. It actually belongs to the person who can give the best instructions.
Okay, let's get into it. The first thing that really hit me in the notes was this brutal, incredibly direct connection between writing and money. It kind of strips away all the romance of the craft,
It does. And honestly, I think that's necessary. We have this tendency to view writing as this pure artistic endeavor. But in the actual economy, copywriting is just a mechanism for income. It influences decisions.
Well, hold on. Let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
Because everyone talks about video now, right? TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. The common wisdom out there is that nobody reads anymore. So isn't copywriting kind of becoming a niche skill?
That is definitely the common wisdom, sure. But you have to look closer at it. What actually makes a reel go viral?
Well, usually catchy hook.
Exactly. A hook, a script, a type structure. Even visual media is built entirely on a foundation of text. If you strip away the high production video, the fancy web design, the graphics...
All the shiny stuff.
Right, all the shiny stuff. What is the core thing that actually persuades a human being to click buy or to hit subscribe?
It's the argument, the words themselves.
It is always the words. Landing pages, sales funnels, email sequences, video scripts, ad copy. Those are all text-based assets.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If your landing page copy is confusing, nobody clicks. Period. If your video script meanders and doesn't get to the point, people just scroll past.
Yeah.
The psychological trigger that causes a human to take an action is entirely linguistic.
So regardless of the medium we're talking about, whether it's audio, video, or just text, the underlying logic of the sale is written.
Precisely. And that logic connects directly to the bank account. Good writing drives action. So the fundamental value of writing isn't disappearing just because AI exists.
The method is changing, but the need is the same.
The method of generating it is definitely changing, but the actual need for persuasive structure is higher than it has ever been.
Which brings us to the big pivot in the research, this concept of the AI shift.
Yeah, this is key.
There was a line in the source material that I think was meant to be reassuring, but it actually stung a little bit when I read it.
Oh, I know the exact line you're talking about.
Yeah, it said, AI doesn't remove writers, it removes average writing.
Ouch.
Right, ouch, average. But what does it actually mean in practice? Because I think most people walking around believe their writing is way above average.
Well, think about the corporate fluff we see every single day.
Oh, boy.
You know the stuff. I hope this email finds you well in today's fast-paced digital landscape.
Synergy.
Yes, synergy. The generic, safe, filler text that takes up space on a page but actually says absolutely nothing of value.
The stuff our eyes just naturally skim right over.
Exactly. You have to remember how these large language models actually work. They are probabilistic. They are literally designed to predict the next most likely word in a sequence,
Right. They are essentially highly advanced autocomplete.
which means, by definition, they default to the average. They default to the most common, generic way of saying something across the entire data set of the internet.
Okay, I see where this is going.
So if your writing is just average, if you're just filling space with predictable sentences, then yes, the machine completely replaces you because it can do average instantly and it can do it for free.
So the threat is very real, but only if you refuse to upgrade your skills.
Right. The research argues pretty strongly that for a skilled writer, AI is not a replacement, it's an exoskeleton.
An exoskeleton. I like that visual.
Think about it. These AI tools run on language. That is their native operating system. So who is best equipped to operate a machine that runs entirely on language?
The person who understands the code. The person who really deeply knows grammar, tone, pacing, and nuance.
Exactly. If you can't articulate what you want, the AI just gives you garbage back. But if you are a trained writer, you know how to manipulate language. You become the conductor of the orchestra.
You provide the strategy and the empathy, and the AI provides the speed.
The strategy, the psychology, and the empathy.
Yes.
The AI just provides the scale.
Okay, let's pause on empathy for a second, because that's a big word there. AI can mimic empathy, right? Like it can output the words, "I'm sorry to hear that you are struggling."
It can absolutely mimic the syntax of empathy,
Right.
but it doesn't have the context of the market. It doesn't actually know that your specific audience is completely burnt out on hustle culture this week.
Or what they're actually going through.
Right. It doesn't know the specific visceral pain points of a dad trying to buy a coffee maker at 2 a.m. while holding a crying baby. You know that. As a human, you bring the soul, and the AI brings the silicon.
Silicon and soul, that is a great way to frame it. But let's move from the high-level philosophy down to the practical application. Because this is where I think a lot of people just get stuck.
Yeah, the day-to-day use.
We talk about using AI all the time, but for most people, that still just means typing a random question into a chat box and crossing their fingers, hoping for the best.
And usually getting a really mediocre result in return.
Right. The source material talks about this necessary shift from creative writing to structured instruction. Now, this feels to me like a totally different skill set. It's almost like coding.
Well, it is coding.
Really?
Yeah, it's coding, but you're doing it with natural language instead of Python or C++. The research from SkillUp Online highlights this specifically. You have to stop writing for a reader, and you have to start writing for the machine. You are giving precise, structured directions.
Like writing out a recipe.
Or a highly detailed technical manual. We're talking about prompt engineering here, but treating it as a legitimate craft, not just a quick hack to get out of doing work.
And the material actually breaks this down into a 4-part formula that I found really, really useful. Let's go through it. It's role, context, constraints, and output format.
Yeah, those 4 pillars are essential.
Let's drill down on these, because the first one, role, seems almost too obvious to me, like saying act as a copywriter. Does that really make a tangible difference to the output?
Oh, it makes a massive difference. Think about the probability field we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
If you just type write an email, the AI pulls from the average of the entire internet. It's going to be generic.
Right.
But if you say, act as a direct response copywriter who specializes in selling SaaS products to highly skeptical CTOs.
That is way more specific.
Suddenly, the vocabulary completely changes. The tone shifts. The sentence length changes. You've forcefully narrowed the probability field down to a very specific high-level subset of data.
Okay, I get it. So that is the role. Next up, we have context.
Context is all about the background. Who exactly are we talking to, and what is their current problem?
Give me an example.
Sure. Something like, we're selling a new productivity course to freelance graphic designers who are currently overwhelmed with client work and feel like they have zero free time.
Got it.
Without that context, the AI is just guessing at the pain points. With that context, it is laser targeting the message.
Okay, now let's talk about constraints, because this is the one that really caught my eye in the notes. Why do we need to artificially constrain the AI? Shouldn't we just let it be creative?
Absolutely not.
Really, no creativity.
When people talk about AI creativity, what they're usually getting are hallucinations, weird metaphors, or just terrible cliches. Constraints are actually where the real magic happens.
Okay, explain that.
Think about the difference between these 2 prompts. A bad, unconstrained prompt is just write a short post about coffee.
Okay, and the result is probably going to be something like, coffee is a beloved morning beverage enjoyed by millions around the world.
Exactly. Incredibly boring.
Okay.
Average. Now, let's apply strict constraints. Write a post about coffee. Constraint 1, do not use the words energy or morning. Constraint 2, use only short, punchy sentences. Constraint 3, adopt a highly contrarian tone that argues decaf is actually intellectually superior to regular coffee.
Oh, wow. That is a totally different beast.
Right. Now you are forcing the AI to work inside a very specific box, which actually produces much more interesting, highly usable output. You are actively forcing it away from the average.
That is fascinating. Okay, and finally, the fourth pillar, output format.
That's just the container. How do you want the information handed back to you? Do you want a markdown table, a bulleted list, a CSV file, a JSON script?
Whoa, hold on a second. JSON script. You just lost half the audience right there. Why on earth does a writer need to know what a JSON script is?
Fair point. Fair point. Don't panic.
I panicked a little.
A JSON script is really just a specific way of formatting text so that another computer program can easily read it. And honestly, this is the perfect bridge to the next big concept in the research.
Product thinking.
Yes, because we aren't just writing text for human eyeballs to read on a screen anymore. We are now writing text that can be instantly plugged into other automated systems.
And this is where my brain really started to hurt a little bit while reading the outline.
It's a big leap.
It really is. We go from writing a clever prompt, which I completely understand, to suddenly building small AI systems. That phrase, building AI systems, makes it sound like I need a software engineering degree.
It definitely sounds intimidating at first, but it's really just about chaining those well-crafted prompts together. Think about your own standard workflow. What normally happens when you create a piece of content?
Well, let's take this deep dive we're doing right now. We record the audio, then I would probably sit down, listen to it back, manually write down some show notes, maybe try to write a clever tweet about it, then draft an email to send to the newsletter list.
Right, and that is a traditional, fully manual workflow. You are physically doing every single step one by one.
Yeah, and it takes hours.
An AI product thinker looks at that exact same process, and they see a system waiting to be built. They think, how can I automate the logic of these steps?
So walk me through that. How does a writer actually build that system in practice?
Okay, imagine building what the notes call a content repurposing engine. You basically build a chain of events. Step 1, you just upload the raw, messy transcript of this entire conversation into the system. Step 2, you have a prompt that you've already carefully written, tested, and constrained that automatically extracts the 3 most controversial points we discussed.
Got it. The system finds the highlights.
Exactly. Then step 3, those 3 controversial points are automatically fed into another prompt. And this one says, take these 3 points and write a compelling LinkedIn carousel in the style of Justin Welsh.
Oh, I see.
And then simultaneously, step 4, those exact same points get routed to a totally different prompt that drafts a high-converting newsletter intro.
So essentially, I build the factory once, and then moving forward, I just feed it raw materials on one end and get finished products out the other.
Precisely. You aren't sitting there writing the tweet anymore. You're designing the machine that writes the tweet. That is the fundamental shift from being a writer to being a product thinker.
That is just massive leverage. But I have to say, it also feels like a ton of front-end work to get it running smoothly.
It absolutely is a lot of work up front. But that is what the source material calls the creator advantage.
The creator advantage.
Right, because the biggest bottleneck for creators, whether you're a YouTuber, a business coach, an educator, whoever, your biggest bottleneck is always time.
There are only 24 hours in the day.
Exactly. You have a million great ideas, but you physically cannot sit at a keyboard and write 20 high-quality posts a day without losing your mind. But if you build a system, you achieve scale without burnout.
Scale without burnout. I think that is the absolute dream for anyone working online right now.
It really is the holy grail. And the material gives a bunch of other specific examples of these systems too, like a lead generation assistant or a niche chatbot.
Right, systems that do specific jobs.
And these aren't just valid for speeding up your own personal productivity. These are actual digital products that you could turn around and sell.
Sell to other people.
Yes. For instance, you could use your writing skills to build a highly constrained, specific chatbot for real estate agents that helps them automatically write perfectly formatted property listing descriptions based on a few bullet points. And then you sell them access to that tool.
So the writer basically evolves into a software developer. But instead of typing out lines of Python code, they're just using English.
Yes, exactly. The traditional barriers to entry for building software have completely collapsed. If you can articulate the business logic clearly in an English prompt, you can essentially build the app.
Which brings us perfectly to the role of education in all this.
Very important part of the research.
The outline relies pretty heavily on the educational framework from SkillUp Online. And I want to be really clear to you listening right now, we are not just doing a commercial or trying to plug a course here, but the underlying philosophy behind their specific curriculum really seems to address exactly this massive shift we are talking about.
It really does. And the distinction they make in their materials is absolutely vital.
Which distinction is that?
The fact that they aren't trying to teach you complex machine learning. You do not need to go back to school to learn the advanced math behind a neural network or figure out how to code in Python to be successful here.
Which is a huge relief for someone with a liberal arts degree like me.
Right. It's all about the applied layer of the technology. The SkillUp Online curriculum focuses on exactly the practical skills we just discussed.
The prompt engineering.
Yes, designing those high-converting prompts, actively building out those automated workflows, and successfully integrating AI into actual business logic.
It is really interesting to me that an educational platform is heavily emphasizing product design for people who traditionally consider themselves just writers. It feels like a total identity shift.
It is a profound identity shift. It's basically telling the market, stop identifying as just the person who types the words on the screen. Start identifying as the architect of the entire communication strategy. It is inherently a much higher value role in a company.
But let me ask you this, and I really want to challenge this idea of product thinking for a minute.
Go for it.
If every single person out there learns this, and everyone builds these automated systems, and everyone creates their own content repurposing engine, don't we just end up with an internet completely flooded with automated noise? If I have a machine that easily turns one random thought into 50 LinkedIn posts, isn't that just adding to the pollution?
That is a very real risk, yes.
It sounds like a nightmare for the consumer.
It could be.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why the human element is still the ultimate differentiator here. Think about it. If you automate garbage, you just get highly scaled garbage.
Right.
Which is why the average writer is in so much trouble. But if you start with unique human insight, if you have genuinely distinct voice and real lived experience, the automated system just amplifies that quality.
So the AI system is basically just a multiplier, and any number times 0 is still just 0.
Exactly. You need the 0 to be a 1 first. You have to bring the quality idea to the table. The machine can't invent profound insight.
Let's try to synthesize all of this. We have covered a lot of ground today.
We really have.
We've gone from the reality that writing is revenue to the structured prompt formula to actually building AI systems. The research kind of outlines this clear evolutionary chain for the modern writer.
It is a very logical progression when you step back and look at it.
Walk me through that chain. Step 1.
Step 1 is the realization that writing becomes instruction. You learn how to precisely direct the machine instead of just writing for the reader.
Okay, writing becomes instruction. Step 2.
Step 2 is that instruction shapes intelligence.
Meaning what exactly?
Meaning the quality of the AI's output depends entirely on the quality of your teaching in the prompt. You are actively training the model on your specific constraints and needs.
Right, garbage in, garbage out. And step 3?
Step 3 is that intelligence powers products. Once you've shaped that AI intelligence with your instructions, you wrap it in an automated workflow, and it becomes a tangible asset. It becomes a tool, a product that solves a problem.
It is a complete transformation of how you value yourself. You stop getting paid purely for your time typing, and you start getting paid for your mind, for your specific ability to structure logic and systems.
Exactly. And there was one final piece of advice in the notes that I think perfectly connects all this tech stuff back to the human element.
What was that?
It said, moving forward, you must learn to write for machines and for humans.
But what does that actually look like in practice? Because they feel like two completely opposite skills.
They do feel opposed, but they have to coexist now.
Explain how.
You need the rigid technical skill to speak to the AI. That's the constraints, the exact formatting, the underlying logic. That is writing for the machine.
Right.
But once the machine hands you the output, you also desperately need the empathy, the wit, and the deep psychological understanding to critique that output. You have to edit it and ensure it will actually resonate with a real person on the other end. That's writing for the human.
So you're the bridge between the two worlds.
You are the translator. You literally stand between the raw, unfeeling computing power of the AI and the beating human heart of the customer.
Wow.
And honestly, that is a position of immense power and leverage if you choose to claim it.
Translator between raw computing power and the human heart. I have to say, that makes the job description sound a whole lot cooler than just freelance copywriter.
It definitely does. But it's accurate to what the role is becoming.
So for everyone listening to this right now who has been sitting there feeling that anxiety, that creeping fear that the robots are coming to take your job, the message from the research is pretty clear.
Very clear.
Writing is not outdated at all. It is literally the mechanism for operating the future. But that is only true if you treat your writing as an operating system and not just as a way to blindly fill a blank page.
Absolutely. The LLM tools are incredibly powerful, but they are completely aimless without human direction. You are the one who provides the direction.
And I think the final sentiment from the deep dive source material really nails it. It said, don't just consume content, build capability. Such great advice.
Which is the perfect takeaway. Don't just sit there playing around with ChatGPT for fun or using it to cheat on busy work. Actually learn the craft of it.
Build the systems. Own the leverage.
Exactly. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought that popped into my head while we were discussing this whole idea of giving instructions.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we spent a lot of time talking about how we are essentially teaching the AI with our specific prompts and constraints, right?
Right.
So if writing is now the instruction that literally shapes machine intelligence, does that mean the ultimate quality of our future AI tools depends entirely on the quality of the human writers who are teaching them right now?
That is a deeply profound question.
Right, because the machines are learning from us.
We are essentially the parents of this totally new form of intelligence. If we feed these models lazy, uninspired, average prompts, we are just going to get lazy, average AI moving forward.
A race to the bottom. But if we demand excellence and structure and deep human nuance in our prompts, we actively raise the ceiling of what the technology will be capable of tomorrow.
A whole lot of responsibility rests on those prompts.
It certainly does. It's all on us.
Well, that is a lot to chew on. That is all for today's deep dive. Thanks for exploring the evolution and the future of writing with us.
It was a real pleasure.
See you next time.